I mentioned in the introduction, you literally passed out from this chronic fatigue, very extreme symptoms. And today you're recovered. And but there was a turning point, wasn't there, where you had this discovery about energy. So perhaps we could start there.
Yes, well, that particular turning point goes back to, oh, I guess, well, 2016 in a way. I didn't discover the biofield and the energy at that point, but by that time, I had been living with chronic fatigue syndrome for 16 years. No, sorry, not 16, 14. I'd collapsed in 2002, and I was bedbound initially, incredibly ill. I recovered to quite a degree, and I ended up giving up my job as a strategy consultant and going self-employed. So that was really helpful. So 2012, I was in a not too awful place. And then my self-employed work took off and I sort of revisited the chronic fatigue. So that was 2016. And I say that was the turning point because I had another complete crash, a complete collapse, bed bounds, had to cancel life completely.
Mm.
And that was interesting because having been there before, there was a little part of me that was kind of, well, I recovered fairly well once, so I can do it again. And
Mm.
then there was another part of me that was like, oh, what if this is it? If you keep recovering and crashing and recovering and crashing, and that really is your life, as the doctors have said it will be. But it was the part that was like, there has to be a solution that kicked in. And I really just began exploring. So initially, I started where I was, which was with the physical body, a lot of work with functional doctors and diet and sleep and exercise
You
and
kind of tried everything.
tried everything. Then rather reluctantly went on to the emotional, mental side of things. Got another little bit of a step forward,
Why'd you
but
say reluctantly?
because I think with the chronic fatigue, there's a quite a social narrative around it being based in the mind. Yeah, the hypochondria, you're being lazy, you're attention seeking. There's all these narratives that are unfortunately still around. So for someone to come in and make any suggestion of any kind of mind-body connection
Mm.
is quite
That's
triggering.
so you had a high flying job and you
Yeah.
left the high flying job then to create another job which became you became very successful at. So you're not fitting that there is, I think, a perception somewhat about people that get chronic fatigue syndrome and all of these sort of fatigue
Mm.
illnesses about somehow that they're weak in a way and it's like all their own fault and all that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
this is really, I'm not seeing weakness here in what you're sharing and who you are.
No, no, and thank you for acknowledging that because obviously people that know me personally knew that about me, but whenever you're getting into any form of illness, you're interacting with doctors, with support professionals who don't know that. So I did come across quite a mix of attitudes
Mm.
towards this, and nobody
So there's a
really.
lot of you felt challenged, people like from health professionals and doctors so you felt globally supported or globally challenged in all this what you were doing in trying to get well.
Bit of both. It was very much down to different individuals. So I actually had a very supportive GP, so that's general practitioner, and that's our first port of call for any illness in the UK, just to explain, because I know other countries have got different systems. So he was very supportive, but he just simply didn't know how best to help me. And yes, and I met with others who were less supportive, more of the attitude that, oh, it's in your head if you could just buck your ideas up. Actually, to be fair, I found less of that in the medical profession. I've more of that in sort of social circles. See, what we genuinely mean by the mind body is going into that subconscious layer. And when you go into that, it's the underlying emotions, it's your nervous system really that's producing that response. Your nervous system is sort of sensing frequencies around it, which can be emotional, they can be behavioral patterns, they can be thought patterns. And then, of course, EMF frequencies, toxins, all the wonderful stuff that you work with. All of that is being picked up by your nervous system. And the autonomic part of it, so that's the bit that's controlling breathing and digesting and all of those things that just happen, whether we think about them or not, that is going, oh, we're in danger here. And then that's signaling your physical body cells to shut down in some way. So, it could be a permanent shutdown, or it could be, we'll just scale things back a little bit. But either way, once that's affecting the mitochondria, those are like your batteries for your body. So it's like your individual cells are trying to run on half power.
Your book is about that and other things. There's a lot in there. Again, 400 pages. Um, so if you could was there like an aha moment when you went, I got it. I got to do this. Or was it a gradual thing?
It was a bit of both. So there was a moment, I think, when I started connecting in with the kind of mental emotional, I still wasn't really getting it. It was when I went on to the next layer, which was just actually seeing myself as a field of energy. I think that allowed me to sort of remove myself from emotions of shame and blame around it and see myself as this grand field that contained information. Some of that information supports the flow of energy, and some of that information is blocking it in some way. And it was that first awareness, and then being able to sort of work out, well, what's supporting it, what's blocking it, and understand with those blocks, why are they blocking it? Is that still helpful for me? So then it kind of became a gradual process of undoing layers and layers. So for example, to take a specific emotion that may be a frequency and it may be a low level frequency, which makes it difficult for energy to flow fast and efficiently. But there may be a point at which that frequency is still protecting me right now. There's a few other frequencies I want to clear out first, and then we'll come on to that. So I found this whole healing process to be a journey of layers.
So there was this awareness, as you say,
Mm.
of seeing yourself, seeing your being as a field of energy. And that's sort of, well, I guess at first it's like an intellectual
Yeah.
exercise. It's something you just do with your mind. But to actually integrate that is quite difficult, isn't it? Because I
Yeah.
mean, to be honest, I'm still integrating. I don't know where you are, but
Yeah.
it's
Still integrating. Yeah.
so we can talk about this all we like,
Yeah.
but we're always sort of back to, well, flesh, blood and bone and all of that. This human body, this human form, which we identify with,
Mm.
and we can have this really clear understanding that, well, actually, it's all energy. We're all energy, and that's really the end of it. But then to really, integrate that and do something with it is something else, isn't it?
Yes. And it's interesting because uh, I'm just thinking back to an actual turning point. I don't remember, this was maybe around 2019, 2020. And I remember, so I sort of had this concept of the energy body, of this idea that emotions are frequencies, and that frequency is feeding in and becoming the matter that forms the body.
Mm.
But as you say, very intellectual. The turning point was actually doing a yoga class. So I started the class with a lot of pain across my upper back. No obvious cause for the pain. I hadn't done hadn't created a physical injury or done anything like that you could say, oh, yes, it's a pulled muscle or this or that. By the end of the yoga class, the pain had just kind of floated away. And I was like, oh, okay. So this physical body with its physical sensation of pain, which is 100% real and it's there, you can shift it by doing something that's working with the energy.
So we're beginning to understand that there was sort of an intellectual understanding about it's all energy, which is easy to say, right?
Yeah.
But that's all we're doing, and we're just sort of saying it and not really embodying it.
Yeah. Yes, I'm trying to think. Yeah, there have been various moments of that happening. And interesting, just as you were talking about it being all in the mind, a really interesting point, I mean, this is much more recent, was seeing our brain not as the place that creates our thoughts and so on, but as an antenna that's receiving information. So we're receiving the information from within our body, we're receiving it from the people around us, we're receiving it from the ethers. You know, you can go as far into spiritual territory with that as you wish. It's all information, it's coming in and it's being filtered through this antenna that we call the brain, the mind.
Thanks so much for sharing here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And yes, lots of love to everyone who's listening. You will find your path to wherever you are meant to be. So,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Katie. Thanks, listener, viewer, for watching this interview. And all my interviews are in the EMF Expert Solutions Club with transcripts. Until next time, my name is Lloyd Burrell from electricsense.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye bye.